Hey everyone, it's Sun Types, and Pitch Black is right around the corner. In fact, pre-releases are coming within a week. I'm super excited. I hope I'll be able to play in the pre-release. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be playing in it, but you should definitely play them if you can. They're super fun, and I'll be covering them on the channel as soon as we know this stuff. Hopefully before they happen, but they're often not released at that point. But anyways, Pitch Black is a super sick set. I'm not gonna lie. It's not crazy powerful. I will say this set is probably a bit more powerful than some of the weaker sets, which have been pretty weak. It's not crazy, but there are a lot of really, really cool cards in the set, which I'm going to be going over today. This is going to be a full set overview. I will mention, so we're looking at the expansion here. I blank you on the name. I think Abyss Eye is the name in Japan, which is pretty much the cards we're looking at today. These will be in the set. Potentially some older cards we haven't gotten yet, like promos. I recently talked about them in a video. And of course, I will be talking about the set more as we get even closer to it, like fully releasing. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that stuff. But the set is pretty cool. It's not super big, though. But we see, I'm not going to be really going over every card, like random previous evolutions. I guess I'll go over every final evolution. We have this Tropius letting you get some Pokemon into your hand from your deck kind of randomly from the top. So that's a card there. Not super good. But we got Lurantis EX here. Lurantis EX is the first EX we're taking a look at. This card's pretty interesting with the attack Lively Cutter for 1 grass. If you're healed this turn, you do 260. Otherwise, you just do 60. And then Leaf Guard. By the way, this is the video for mostly these cards, how good they are in Standard. Maybe I'll mention some other formats, or just generally how good they are as well. But Leaf Guard, then 140 for 2, 1 grass, 1 colorless. Then you take 50 less damage next turn. We see attacks like this all the time, and they're not usually a very good. Lively Cutter is interesting here. This is a card I've talked about a good amount on the channel, not like crazy, but certainly it is interesting. We see that it has pretty good damage. 260 for 1. You look at Mega Lopunny. This is stronger than Mega Lopunny in terms of the damage. Not that Mega Lopunny is an absolute beast, but it's like pretty strong for 1 energy, and the requirement there is pretty easy. This requirement here is more difficult. Healing a Pokemon isn't super hard. We need to get it damaged as well. Obviously, your opponent could damage it. If they damage it, they might just knock it out as well. So this Pokemon is interesting. I don't think it's quite good enough, but theoretically, it's pretty solid. Definitely card to keep an eye out for. It is grass as well. There is some grass energy in Standard. It's not amazing with this Lurantis EX. The grass energy is good, but it's just not great here. And so this card is kind of meh. I don't really expect it to see too much serious play or anything like that, but it's definitely an interesting card to mess around with. Theoretically, it could be very good, but I do think it just doesn't quite have the pieces it's looking for. You need to be in a situation where you're tanking hits, kind of, but you can't be you need to be taking damage. You can't be taking too much damage. You should be healing some. It's kind of a weird balance you're finding there, which I don't think you're quite fine, but it is a cool card here. Then we have the Poltergeist. This Poltergeist actually isn't very good. However, it has the ability Hide and Sneak, which says this Pokemon can't be affected by attacks or abilities from your opponent's Pokemon. I will say this ability, in terms of what it actually does, I don't think it's very good either. It protects you from bench damage from Dragapult, or bench damage counters being placed from Dragapult EX, and also it just prevents a bunch of things. It's like kind of nice theoretically. The Pokemon it's on just aren't super good though. I will be going over them. There's the Hide and Sneak deck, which I do think will be pretty good. I don't think it's going to be crazy good, but I think it's decent, and it's pretty good against Dragapult. But what the ability itself actually does isn't super meaningful. We have the Sinistcha, though. I guess I'll go over all these Pokemon now because it kind of makes sense to talk about them together. I was just going to go in order of the cards on Pokemon Proxies, but we have Hide and Sneak here. This card says if you have 6 or more Pokemon, you discard with Hide and Sneak. Again, this is the ability we see on Sinistcha. Poltergeist here. We see it on this Shuppet, and then we see it on this Banette, which can do 80 and search for a card. Not super good, I don't think. I wouldn't really look to play this card very much. It's not terrible, though. But these 4 cards have Hide and Sneak, so you can have up to 16 cards with Hide and Sneak in your discard. But then we have the Sinistcha. If you have 6 or more Pokemon in your discard with Hide and Sneak, you put 40 damage cards on each of your opponent's Pokemon. There is some counterplay to this using like Battle Cage, Mist Energy, Hide and Sneak, the ability itself as well, something like that. There are a bunch of things that will stop this from time to time, but you're not expected to see it all the time. So this is decent spread, but it's not crazy spread for the fact that it's an evolution that's super weak, and in terms of HP, you're just like get knocked out from all sorts of different things there. And then also, you're not getting knocked out by Munkidors or Dragapult EXs because of the ability, but it's still, you're not tanky here. And then the damage you do to one target isn't super good. As we'll see with the Spiritomb, there's some really fun synergy there. I don't think it's super good, though. Ultimately, you need to attack with this a bunch of times to really apply pressure, and I suppose you could be applying pretty good pressure to your opponent's Pokemon. If they're, running a lot of 70 HP basics, then you could just, like, get rid of those pretty quickly. Then Matcha Spin could be good. I don't think that's actually really going to happen. I think they'll get some actual threat into play, some, like, big stage 2 or something, and then you're just staring at it, and that's not so good. And also, they might have, like, Munkidori or something. Sure, they're not hitting this Pokemon with the ability, but it is still going to heal them up. Oh, by the way, I do want to mention this. With Lurantis EX, Munkidori EX doesn't actually heal. You need to actually heal through the use of... This card's been played some in Japan. I'm trying to think what it's been paired with. There is a Shuckle, which is a kind of logical pairing, but I think... Yeah, I'm blanking. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm not going to lie. It's been played just a little bit. There are cards just like Potion or something. I feel like there's an obvious answer. I don't remember it off the top of my head. None of the options are super good, though. But Sinistcha there, Munkidori could cause problems, and it's just not a great attacker. It's fun, but it's not super powerful. Spread stuff usually isn't amazing. You look at, like... Uxie and Standard, and some of you are like, what's Uxie do? And yeah, that's the point. It's not really played. It's a decent spread card, and it doesn't see play. But then we have the Spiritomb. This one, if you have 13 or more Pokemon you discard with Hide and Sneak. Oh, I didn't talk about getting the cards as the discard with Hide and Sneak either. For the Sinistcha, it's doable. It's not like super doable super quickly, but it's okay. Spiritomb here, you need 13 or more in your discard with Hide and Sneak. Then you choose 2 of your opponent's Pokemon and quadruple the amount of damage counters on them. Really funny. It's not actually that good, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's if this attack didn't have the requirement, it would be good and would see play, certainly. But, I mean, 30 or more cards in your discard with this ability is absurd. Again, there's up to 16 you can have in your deck. Getting these cards in your discard is going to be really rough. There are ways to do it. It is possible, but it isn't good. Especially when these Pokemon that are in your deck are kind of just not doing anything. I mean, you're literally just discarding them in this situation. If they're in the discard, then you're not attacking with them. So... Spiritomb is funny. I don't think it's worth playing in your deck. If you're playing Hide and Sneak, I mean, if you want to do something silly, you could do it. Certainly do what you want, but like in terms of making your deck actually good, you're not going to be looking to play all the Hide and Sneak Pokemon. It's going to make your deck less consistent, even when you're not going for a Spiritomb. And then also, with the Spiritomb, I will also with the Hide and Seek Pokemon, the cards you want to cut are probably going to be the basics there, if you can, because you don't want to start them, you don't want to play them. But Spiritomb here, obviously, it is going to be kind of nice when you attack with it, and it can knock some stuff out, but just getting all this Pokemon in the discard is super rough there. I think you could use Sinistcha. You don't have to use Sinistcha. I mean, you should play Sinistcha. I would probably play Sinistcha and Poltergeist. I know some lists have been like cutting that, not like completely, but kind of cutting it. We'll talk about the last Pokemon here, which is Dhelmise. Dhelmise is probably the best Pokemon in... Dhelmise is probably the best Pokemon in the set. It does 170 if you have 4 more Pokemon in the discard with Hide and Sneak. It is a good attack. I don't know how I'd rank the 3 attacks in terms of ignoring the requirements there, but not ignoring the requirements, Dhelmise is clearly the best because it's the easiest to get going. It's a basic. You can just attack with it turn 1. Going second relatively easily, be swinging for a bunch. By, obviously this can one-shot Dragapult EX with Lotus Clefairy EX, which is nice, and it can one-shot Meowth EX, which is cool, but you're looking at Pokemon like a lot of just 2 prizes, you're going to come up short. So I am a little worried about this card that it's not quite strong enough and just going to come up short so often, and you're just going to kind of be flailing around. But even in that situation, you're still like 2-shotting these 2 prizers, and then you're using 1 prizer, so it's not too bad. You're not super weak in terms of HP. So I just looked at the bottom and I saw, because this is Pokemon Proxy, so these are not the actual cards, and the fighting symbols like not as orange as it's supposed to be. But you're relatively tanky for a single prizer. You do have 3 retreat though. That isn't so good, but it's fine, I think. Looking at this deck, Dhelmise really is the Pokemon you're relying on like all of the time, which it is very good earlier on, but as the game goes on, it has some diminishing returns. Ultimately, this is the top deck from the set. I think it is the best deck from the set. I think it's the most interesting deck from the set, or one of the most interesting decks from the set, and it is cool. That's why I'm spending a lot of time on it. That being said, Dhelmise is good. Dhelmise is definitely a good card. Is it enough to carry the deck? I don't know. And unfortunately, I think it has to really carry the deck. I will say you can use Dhelmise, and you can use Poltergeist to like finish stuff off, or Sinistcha, I mean. But it is a little clunky-ish. It's not too rough, but it is a little clunky there. I've got this Heatran moving on. Wow, this card has got some mistake by the Pokemon Proxies team on the text here, but it's got an attack makes them immune to burn Pokemon. The big issue with this, other than it's just not that good in general, is that burn is like only gonna stick half the time, so it's not very good. It's like funny, but burn support just ain't really there. We got Sizzlebeat. This card is theoretically super awesome. This is a card I'm almost excited for it. You'll pretty quickly see why I'm not excited for it. Oh, I'll explain it to you. But you have this attack Bug Panic for 3 colorless. This 50 times multiply. You reveal the bottom 7 cards of your deck. You do 50 times the amount of Pokemon that have the attack Bug Panic. Then you shuffle those Pokemon back in the deck and discard all the other revealed cards. We see attacks like this from time to time where it's like doing some. This is obviously a specific synergy, but sometimes like discarding cards from your deck. This is interesting from the bottom of your deck. Something super unique, a really interesting mechanic we haven't seen. We've seen stuff that interacts with the bottom of your deck some, but usually those cards are. You look at like a special red card or something like that. Obviously, that's your opponent's bottom of the deck, but like you see cards like this from time to time, and it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. And then I imagine you're running how many Pokemon have Bug Panic if you don't know. And the answer is only Sizzlepedes, so you can only do 150, which is kind of bad. So 150 isn't terrible, but also you need like the stars to align, and it's not even like that good. We're just talking about Delmai. So if we see another Pokemon with Bug Panic, which I really hope we do, this will be super sick, I think. And I think it will be okay-ish. I haven't thought about the synergies too much because, it doesn't matter because you only have this one Pokemon. It is super sick. Definitely an awesome card theoretically, except we only have one Pokemon with Bug Panic. Pokemon's been doing this a bunch recently. I think Pikachu Radio made a video on it. I made a video kind of about this as well, where they talk about we have like Meowth EX referring to Pokemon with Last Ditch in their ability name. It's only Meowth EX. There's a lot of design space there that's super cool, and Pokemon just like opening it up but not actually doing it. So that's a weird. We'll see what happens with that. But Sizzlepedia is cool, but not so good. We got Centiskorch, kind of nothing to see here. This Armrouge, not really too much to see here. It does damage for bench Pokemon with Fire Energy attached. Super clunky. Probably not really worth running in anything in Standard right now, like at all. I don't think the synergies are really there. The art is cool. I like Armrouge as a Pokemon though. We got a Seeking. Damage for water Pokemon attached, damage for water energy attached. It's card. Then we got this Warlord EX. This card is pretty interesting. I will talk about, I guess, the Misty supporter now as well. But Warlord EX has 380 HP. This is tied for the highest ever of like a regular card. And it has an attack that is 120 for 3, which is bad. And then falling down is 270 for 5 and puts itself to sleep. I guess that's better, but it is obviously very expensive here. The HP is very high though. You can look at this card here with Misty's Energy. Misty's Energy is a supporter that ends your turn when you play it. However, you search for 4 basic water energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. This is really just intended to be paired with Warlord EX, I think. Ultimately, ending your turn with a card is not so good. But Misty's Energy is paired with Warlord EX, like okay-ish, I suppose. There's also this Primarina. When you play it, you heal one of your Pokemon fully, which maybe is intended to synergize with Warlord EX. I don't know. I wasn't going to mention it really anywhere else. So this is fun. I don't know if it's actually fun. If your opponent, I feel like if you play this deck, one of 3 things is going to happen. 1, you just get knocked out because yes, 380 HP is absurdly high. But it's actually not that much higher than Dragapult. It's 60 HP higher than Dragapult EX. Dragapult EX is obviously kind of tanky-ish. Yes, there's the weakness stuff, which doesn't, it's Dragapult, Dragapult, but it's not thought of as crazy tank. Warlord is theoretically this crazy tank, and yes, 60 HP is certainly meaningful, but it's not like this card is broken, despite having the highest HP ever there. And then, so you might just get knocked out, and that'll kind of suck. And then option 2 is you just roll your opponent. They can't deal with you, and they just lose. I don't think that'll happen too much, but it could happen. And option 3 is you just fall asleep, and they're just asleep, which would also be pretty unfortunate. Which could happen. You're just asleep, and your opponent 3 shots you and you don't attack them. So those are kind of the different ways this will play out. Most of them aren't super good. I don't think this deck's good, but it is funny and it's definitely worth mentioning. As I said, this set has a ton of interesting cards, not too many crazy good cards. The top end of the set's kind of meh, but in terms of just playing the set, it's super sick. Speaking of being super sick, we got this Relicanth. This card is really cool with the attack Fossil Beatdown. I will also mention the cards in Standard that are the fossils are the same as the cards with Antique in their name, which if you don't know how they work, they are items. You play them like Pokemon, and they're 60 tree basics. They have some abilities that are Not very good, but they do have them. And then you have this Relicanth here, which does 10, 30 more for each of your bench Pokemon with Antique in their name, which again are the fossils there. This is going to be swinging for 160, I suppose. It's kind of clunky if you want to do a Relicanth deck. If you want to do a fossil deck, it's also kind of clunky because fossil decks kind of suck. We'll talk about fossil decks, and they definitely have some benefits, but like a big upgrade, right, in this set, if you don't know, with Fossil Excavation Site, I think is the name of it. But Relicanth is honestly not too bad. I mean, 160. I was talking about Delmise. This kind of looks like Delmise, except it's with fossils, which is kind of clunky there. And the fossil deck isn't super good. The fossils don't really have synergy with each other. There's one good fossil evolution, in my opinion, maybe two, but you're mostly looking at their Tortuga. Their Tortuga is super good. Highly recommend that card. Or it's pretty good. It's not bad at all. I have not seen like anyone playing it in Japan or internationally really, though the new card isn't out yet. But that is interesting with like Relicanth and Tortuga. Maybe there is something there. I might play that. I don't know. So Relicanth is not too bad. And we got this Palafin doing lots of damage if your opponent has one prize remaining. And we have this Manectric. This card's kind of interesting. Walling Evolutions for 2. This is you can also hit through stuff, which I'm trying to think, like, what does this even hit through? I guess if there's some Pokemon like completely immune to damage, but I don't know what this is actually hidden through. I can't think of any cards to actually see play this would get through. But anyways, so we see this card here. This one, Walls Evolutions, there's a Mega Manectric EX that walls basics. So between those two, you can wall like everything, except for like Alakazam, I guess you can't wall that. But with Manectric here, this is like interesting-ish. It's actually not actually that interesting. The Mega Manectric EX is a bit more interesting, but it kind of rounds out the deck, so it is worth mentioning. You got Vikavolt. This one does 260 for 2 if you have Voltaic Lightning Energy attached. Voltaic Lightning Energy is a good card, but that attack Giga Railgun I don't think is very good. Quick Dive 50 Snipe for 1, also not super good. Giga Railgun's like okay, but it just, you need a special energy on a stage 2. It is still 2 energies as well. It's just kind of clunky. Then we have Mega Zeraora EX. This card is pretty cool. The lightning stuff is cool. I'll get to the special energy in just a moment. But Zepto turn, also Mega Zeraora, I think it's a pretty cool Pokemon. But 150, switch to the bench. Okay, maybe, I don't know. Hit and run stuff is, it's which is like going to the bench. I mean, you probably can just like boss you, and that's bad. And also the walls are kind of meh, but it's not a terrible card. And then or attack there. And then Thunder Fist does 60 for each energy attached to this Pokemon, or Lightning Energy, I should say. Interesting as the potentially one of the best partners for the lightning stuff with specifically electric there. I think lightning package is somewhat interesting, but Mega Zeraora is ultimately going to fall victim to the same thing as the other basic megas that do big damage, or honestly megas that do big damage, which is they are not that good because they're just getting one shot, especially the basics. Like they get one shot a bunch, and they get picked away at. They're just not super good. You look at like Mega Latias EX. If you play with Mega Latias EX, it's okay. Well, okay, funnily enough, they're both hit and run, kind of. I'm not talking about hit and run Mega Latias. I'm talking about like big damage Mega Latias. And if you haven't played it and you don't know anything about it, it's because it's not that good. It's not terrible. You can do some legitimately nasty stuff with it. Also, Mega Latias does get hit for weakness with Blaze Clefairy EX. Mega Zeraora EX isn't really being hit for weakness too much, but I don't expect it to be good. I kind of want it to be good. I think it's kind of cool and has some potential, though. Again, I like a lot of these cards here. Then we have Miraidon. Is Miraidon one of the pre-release promos? It might be. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I think it is. I think it is. This card, if it's in the active and knocked out, you move 2 basic energy, lightning energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. You do 90 and 30 to yourself for 2. I don't think this card is very good. I've seen it play a little bit in Japan with like lightning stuff because it does preserve energy and can do something like knock out Dracloaks or something. It's not super good, but it's here. Then we got the special lightning energy here. Voltaic Lightning Energy, as long as it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides lightning, and then the attacks of your lightning Pokemon, this is attached to do 20 more. So it can be attached to any Pokemon. You look at like the Vikavolt line, obviously the basic there's not lightning. You can attach it to the basic. You just won't get the buff there. Ultimately, cards like this, they're just good. I mean, they're just straight up good. Doing more damage is good. Like obviously, so yeah, that card's good. Yes, it doesn't have the synergy with some of the lightning stuff, but it's still well like electric and Iona's kill electrical, but it is still good. Then we do have the Slowpoke. This is a 7 HP psychic basic, obviously. Slowpoke there. It also lets you discard cards from your hand. The attack isn't super good, but you have this, higher, sorry, this lower HP. You're still psychic. You're, 70 HP, which is good. Um, this is for Slowking. I don't think it's that good. I don't think Slowking's that good. I mean, I don't think most people think Slowking's that good. It obviously can kind of pop off like crazy and can do some good stuff just in general. But this card is interesting being Buddy Boy Poffin searchable and can use Telepathic Psychic Energy, which is nice. That being said, Buddy Boy Poffin and honestly Telepathic Psychic in Slowking are like good, but they're not crazy good. I think this card is definitely worth running for the most part in the deck. I don't know if you're always running Buddy Boy Poffin, but it's a fine addition to the deck. It's not crazy. I think this is less impactful than the 70 HP Snorunt, and the 70 HP Snorunt no one talks about anyways. So, yeah, I don't really think there's too much to say about this card. I made a video ranking a bunch of cards in the set. It didn't include this card because I don't think it's that good. And people want an S tier. It's definitely not an S tier card. It's fine, I suppose. It's not like gonna change the deck it's in. It will see some play though, so it is worth mentioning. Speaking of seeing play, we have Slowbro. This one probably won't see play. This card is pretty fun though. This is my favorite archetype from the set. Okay, I don't actually know if I like the Slowbro, but the other cards of this archetype are pretty sick. This card is cool as well. All out here for one psychic, you do 50, but if you have no cards in your hand, you do 160 more. So 210 there. Again, another really interesting archetype. This one can one-shot Dragapult EX with Liz Clefairy EX in play, like Dhelmise, I guess, and does, enough damage to one-shot a lot of two-prize basics, like the Ogre Pawns, like Pheasantipti EX, just a good chunk of Pokemon there. So it's a pretty decent attack, I guess. I mean, you can't have any cards in your hand. That's kind of an issue, right? But these are interesting decks to play. If you've never played a hand-sized deck, they're super fun, if not a little bit bad, but they are pretty fun. I love playing Noivern and Pokemon DG live, except for the fact that it didn't work because I don't know. Like people complain about live. Most of the time, live works, but Noivern just didn't work in live, and that was a pain. But Slowbro is it's pretty interesting here. Its damage is okay, and it is probably the best of these no hand size cards, except for the supporter. I'll get to in a second. But then we have the where is this card here? We have where is it? Oh, Thievul. Here we go. If you know cards in hand for 2 colors, you choose one of your opponent's attacks that uses this attack. Opponent's Pokemon's attacks doesn't need to be there active. Pretty cool. You can do lots of stuff. Theoretically, obviously, it's pretty clunky. Probably not really good at all, but it is really fun. Again, no hand size. Copy your opponent. All these hoops to jump through, but it's super awesome. I love this card. It's probably not very good though. Then we have the Gladian's Decisive Battle supporter. You can only play this if it's the last card in your hand. Then your Pokemon that don't have rule box do 80 more to your opponent's active. So you can do quite simply a bunch of extra damage. It's really on Festival Lead. I think Festival Lead has good search, so it can get down to that no hand size somewhat easily. You're going to be, by the way, using like mostly Ultra Balls to get there, and then or just like playing cards, and then you do a bunch more damage and you double it up. It's pretty good there, and other stuff it's okay, I suppose. And then we have the Silvally. This card is also super sick. This is probably my favorite card in the set. There's a lot of cards I really like in the set, but Call a Buddy. Once during your turn, you can use this ability if you have no cards in hand. Search for any supporter, reveal it, put into your hand. Super cool. Not very good, I don't think, but it is super sick there. Then we have moving on. We have the next. Okay, we have this Jinx, which at the end of your opponent's next turn discards the defending Pokemon. Doesn't knock it out, but does discard it. But also they could just like switch, so I think it's pretty bad. Then we got this Chandelure. This Lampent searches for the other Lampents as well. Mega Chandelure EX is interesting. I've seen it play some in Japan. It's like this weird pseudo control deck. Each one you have in play increase your opponent's retreat cost by 1, and then your attack is 130, 50 more for each colorless in their retreat cost. Honestly, pretty trash as an attack. It could be okay at times, and let's say like Latias, and then it like doesn't really do anything. I mean, it was 130, but that's not that much. And then you could trap stuff, which is kind of interesting. You compare this to the other Chandelure, which quote unquote mills. I mean, it draws them cards, so they aren't in their deck anymore. They're in their hand, which is kind of rough. But it is really funny. I don't think it's very good at all. Well, I don't know if it's actually funny. I think in concept it's funny. Playing against it's probably not so fun. This Pokemon is kind of cool. Honestly, the art with like the fire and the Mega Fire, it's pretty cool. But this card probably not very good. We have, Marshadow. This one is an attacker, I guess, the deck, doing 30 for each colors on the retreat cost. Then we have this Annihilate. What does this card do? It does some like spread stuff and doesn't get knocked out half the time, which is annoying, but not super good. Funnily enough, the Annihilate is next to the Mankey and the Primeape, though not in that order. Well, in the order I said, not in the order that would make sense. But then we have Cranidos and Rampardos EX. This one, if it's in the active on a coin flip, pretty much you can like Crushing Hammer every turn. And then Rampaging Hammer does 150 for 2 fighting and then does 300 next turn. Kind of cool, I suppose, though I don't think it's very good. It is a Fossil Stage 2 evolution here. As I said, there's Fossil support, but I don't think this card's very good. Then we got Koraidon here, which is a Pokemon does some stuff. And then we got the Darkness stuff here, which is also kind of interesting. Again, there's a lot of archetypes in this set. We got Mega Darkrai EX. This one does for 2 Darkness, 110, but 220 if you have any bench. What am I saying? Bench Pokemon with damage cards on them. So this is kind of cool. It kind of synergizes with like Toxtricity. It's, I guess, the main Pokemon in this set. It's what the set's named after. It's not like that good, but it's just okay. Then Abyssai. Oh, okay, sorry. That's actually the attack the Japanese set's named after is Abyssai, 3 Darkness. If your opponent's active is affected by a special condition, it's instantly knocked out. There are ways to affect your opponent's active with a special condition, specifically Dark Bell, which I'll get to. Also Volcanion EX. Ultimately, it's a little expensive. I mentioned this before. These Megas that do big damage, or quote-unquote big damage, because the second attack doesn't actually do damage, but knocks them out, then things like this are interesting, I guess, but generally they're not super good. I'd say Duskraid's interesting, being a little lower commitment there. Abyssai is pretty high commitment. So Duskraid and Mega Darkrai EX could see some play within Darkness Toolbox stuff with Toxtricity. I don't think that deck's super good, but it is interesting. We see this Malamar theoretically interact with similar stuff as well. Also, this Mandibuzz, sniping special energy Pokemon, kind of random. We have Zarude here. This one for Darkness, and then, for 3 does 170 if you have a Shadowy Darkness attached. Honestly, Mabosstiff, this one's not super interesting. Takes extra damage last turn, extra damage next turn. Morpeko EX does damage for each damage counter on it. Then we have also this Chew. This one is interesting here. If you have 2 or more damage counters on it, you do 110. You don't hit weakness here. It's okay. Again, the Toxtricity box style deck. And there is the special energy, which is Shadowy Darkness energy. Again, provides darkness when attached to anything. When attached to a darkness Pokemon, you prevent bench damage to it. This is super niche. I'm not gonna lie, super bad. Not really worth playing, I wouldn't say. But Dark Bell is worth playing. This card might be the best card in this set. I don't enjoy confusion or coin flips, to be honest, very much. I mean, some crazy coin flips can be fun, but just a few over the course of the game, not something I love. But this card could be pretty good. It confuses both actives, except for Darkness Pokemon. Also, by the way, Pokemon, use parentheses to clarify stuff. Don't use parentheses to add more text to the card. I don't know. It's just something that annoys me. Like, not actually annoys me, but I do feel like parentheses should be used for clarification, not changing what the card does. But anyways, so this theoretically has synergy with, like, Mega Darkrai EX, I guess. However, it has synergy with Dragapult, because Dragapult likes good cards that annoy your opponent, and this is that. So, yeah, it just confuses both actives. But you could just, like, evolve or retreat or something, and it makes it a little annoying for your opponent. They could also just, like, evolve or retreat. So Dark Belt's, like, not that good, but it's all right. Then, speaking of Disruption, we also have Rust Syndicate Grunt. This card is also pretty good. One of the better cards from the set. If one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, you discard 1 energy attached to any of your opponent's Pokemon. This removes energy. Obviously, removing energy can be good. I like this card's design. I like it a lot more than Crushing Hammer. You look at it, maybe in something like Dragapult, or against something like Dragapult. It's a pretty solid card. Not crazy, but it's decent. We're almost done. Again, there's a lot of stuff in the set. We got the Skarmory. This one's, you discard Metal Energy from your hand. You do up to 80 if you discard 2. It's not super good. It's not terrible. It's not great. I think we have Bastiodon. This one's actually pretty good. I was going to say sick. It's annoying. It might make your opponent sick to their stomach. But when it's on the bench, you prevent all damage done to your Pokemon by your opponent's attacks that from their Pokemon that have 2 or fewer energy attached. So this is going to be stopping a lot of things a lot of the time. Temporarily, right? Then your opponent will attach more energy and then swing in, but it is really nice. Again, it is also a Fossil Stage 2. I do think this is better than Rampardos. Also, it does need to be on the bench, so if your opponent gusts it up, you just have 1, then they can just knock it out. Also, it does have 4 retreat, which is kind of rough. You could use Big Air Balloon, except that card rotated. Big Air Balloon is like the stupidest card I've ever seen. It's so bad, because it like isn't really good in much of anything, because like you could just play regular Air Balloon for the most part. or like other switching cards. And then also it like only works in stage 2, so it gives them free retreat. But again, most of the time you can use another switching card that's just like more versatile. And then also the stage 2s you generally want in the active, except for Pidgeot EX, which has free retreat. This card is super, super bad. But anyways, random rant aside, you don't have that. So this is going to get stuck or knocked out. It's like a little sketchy or not get into play. But theoretically, if it's in play, it's a really nice card for just disrupting your opponent or completely like doing a control strategy as well. There's Bronzong, which has some like defensive stuff or something. Also burns with Gentle Slap. I don't know. Seems kind of weird to me. But yeah, then we got Mega Extra Duel EX. I have been on record saying this card I don't think is very good. And I think in a month from now, people will be sitting here looking at Mega Extra Duel, or maybe not a month, maybe in a month after the set releases, the people will be sitting here staring at Mega Extra Duel EX saying like, wow, this card's like not that good. And maximum drilling for 3 metal does 200, then it does for 5 metal does 330. For 2, you can do 90 and mill 2. Maximum drilling, theoretically, paired with a Metang, you can do like big damage pretty consistently, and your opponent can't deal with this or something like that. I think it's not that good or interesting, but it's, you know, there's something to it. It's not terrible. Speaking of not that good or interesting, we got Toucannon, unfortunately, also not super interesting. Once per turn, you can draw a card, pretty whatever ability. Not bad, but not amazing. Okay, this card's boring, except for like the weird ways it relates to like the legendary beast trio, but that is another video I made in the past. But Feather Rondo does 60, 20 more for each bench Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponents. This can do pretty solid damage. You want to pair it with Arizio Underdepth. It's not crazy powerful, but it's not bad either. Definitely an interesting-ish attack. Not super interesting. It's just 1 energy on a single prizer, but it's, you know, it's all right. Works pretty well with Fan Rotom as well. You can search for like so many things in the deck, so kind of cool there. And we got in the Silver Valley, we got a Bombardier searching for stuff. Wait, no, sorry. This card is actually super wacky. You flip 2 coins if both are heads. You search for a Pokemon, put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. This card's actually meant to be paired with the Oh, I forgot to talk about the fossils in it together. But anyways, Backtrack Badge. Apparently, this translation here allowing you to reflip coins on a colorless Pokemon. So if you attack with a coin flip attack on a colorless Pokemon, you can reflip all the coins after you see the results there. Interesting with Mega Kangaskhan EX, I guess. Interesting with, there's a Lugia EX I've seen this played with some. And then the big thing for me is Mega Audino EX. I think that's actually all right. Mega Audino EX, also a little underrated still. It's being played a little bit more, but it's like fine. It's not a bad card. Backtrack Badge, you probably don't need for any of those Pokemon. It doesn't make any of them super good. I mean, Mega Kangaskhan EX is pretty good, but Backtrack Badge, it doesn't really have much to do with that. But this is somewhat interesting. There's a lot of decent colors from flip attacks, so could be good. Not with a Bombardier, but it could be good. Then we have Heroic Bomb, another tool if this Pokemon is attached to not a Mega, and then takes 240 more damage from a Mega. You put 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon, then discard it. I think this card's like super niche, right? Surely this card is like not that good. You look at it, I guess it's good against Mega Lucario, unless they two-shot you. And then it's also like Mega Kangaskhan if they flip heads, which is kind of funny. They could actually use the Backtrack Badge to flip tails to not take damage from Heroic Bomb, which is a really wacky interaction. But yeah, Heroic Bomb I don't think is good, but it is a card. It could be crazy in some situations, I guess. I mean, 12 damage counters is good, but it's not crazy. We see cards like this from time to time. We have Deluxe Bomb, which is an A-spec like this. I've not seen this card really used much at all. It's not very good. And it's, if you're inactive and you're damaged at all, you put 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. It's seen like a little play from time to time and just like random rogue stuff, but ultimately it's not that good. Obviously takes up your A-spec slot, but you know, cards like this, I say in general, aren't very good. Some are okay from time to time, but they're not amazing. Then we have the last 2 cards here, which are potentially honestly the best 2 cards in the set. We have Gwen. Also, they are like a little, I say, underrated. But we got Gwen. You can discard up to 2 Pokemon without rule boxes, and then you draw 3 for each card discarded this way. Good in the hide and sneak deck, which is again pretty solid deck, but in other decks, honestly, like in Dragapult, this I think might be the second or third best supporter for the deck in terms of draw. Or like setup. Obviously, Boss is very good, and Crispin is also pretty good. I actually currently don't play Crispin in Dragapult, but that's for another video. But Gwen is good for drawing U cards. It doesn't always work, but it works pretty decently. This is similar to the card Roxy. It's a little worse technically. All right, and it's probably a little more than a little worse. Rax is mainly used for a specific synergy with coughing and wheezing, but Gwen is still pretty decent. I mean, it can draw you 6 cards. You can draw you 6 cards a lot of the time. Losing a couple Pokemon isn't too bad, and you'll often have them in your deck. They need to be non-rule box, but I mean, a lot of decks, you're gonna have most of your Pokemon be non-rule box anyways because they're evolving from them, and you don't need that many final evolutions. So it's pretty decent, not broken, but it's a solid card. We have Fossil Excavation Site. This card is really interesting for fossils. You search for 2 fossils, put them onto your bench. Again, they're trainers with Antique in their name. Let me check one thing real quick. Oh yeah, all the cards are just fossils. It says trainers with Antique in their name. Theoretically, if there was like a supporter that had Antique in its name, or some like other card that's not an item or not a fossil, you could still put it onto your bench. As far as I'm aware. If it's not a Pokemon, I don't know what would happen in that case. But that is weird. The wording is kind of strange. But anyways, so you have this card, which just for 2 fossils, puts them onto your bench. It's super good for fossils because fossils are super awkward, and this helps smooth them out a lot. You can get multiple into play. You can also have twice as many outs to a specific fossil, so super good. The fossils themselves aren't super good, but the Trushuke is pretty good. So, watch out for that card. It's pretty decent. But overall, the set is super cool. As I said, there's so many fun cards in this set. How good are they? They're more fun than good, but they are fun, and that it's a game. It's about having fun. These are super cool, and some are pretty good. I think there's going to be some hidden gems in the set. I mean, there's just so much stuff in this set that's pretty cool, not broken, but pretty cool. But again, tell me down below in the comment section what your thoughts are on this set. Obviously, I went through a lot of stuff today, but I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, make sure you hit the bell, share the video, hype the video, all that good stuff. Also, huge shout out to my YouTube members. And again, you can join as a YouTube member and help support the channel. But I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.